There's a moment in every investor's life that changes everything. It doesn't happen on a specific date. There's no alert on your phone, no notification from your brokerage. But once you see it, you can never unsee it. It's the moment your money starts working harder than you do. Most people think building wealth is a straight line. You save a little, invest a little, and it grows slowly over time. But that's not how it actually works. Wealth doesn't grow in a straight line. It grows in a curve. And along that curve, there are three specific tipping points where your net worth goes from crawling to walking to flat-out sprinting. Today, I'm going to walk you through all three. And by the end, you'll know exactly where you are on the curve, what's coming next, and why the math is about to shift dramatically in your favor. Let's start with the foundation. Right now, the median household income in the United States is about $83,700 a year. The median net worth for Americans under 35 is roughly $39,000, and the personal savings rate has dropped to around 4%. That means for most people, nearly every dollar of net worth growth comes from one source: their paycheck. Their investments aren't doing much yet, and that's not because they picked the wrong funds. It's because they haven't hit the first tipping point. Tipping point number one: when your investment returns exceed your contributions. This is the moment your portfolio starts pulling more weight than you do, and it happens sooner than most people realize. Here's how the math works. If you're saving $10,000 a year and your portfolio returns 10%, which is roughly the long-term average of the S&P 500, then once your portfolio hits $100,000, your returns match your contributions. A 10% gain on $100,000 is $10,000, the same amount you put in all year long. Charlie Munger, Warren Buffett's legendary partner, said it plainly. The first $100,000 is the hardest, but from there, it snowballs and you can ease off the gas. He wasn't exaggerating. Going from $0 to $100,000 takes the average investor roughly 7 to 10 years. But going from $100,000 to $200,000 shrinks to about 5 years. And from $200,000 to $400,000 is even faster. This is the compound effect in real life. Once your returns start matching what you contribute, every new dollar you invest gets amplified. Your money starts earning its own money. And that's when the curve begins to bend. But here's what trips people up. In a bad year, and about 1 out of every 3 years the market posts a negative return, it can feel like you're sliding backward. This is where most people make their biggest mistake. They panic, they sell, they stop contributing, and they reset their entire curve right before the acceleration hits. The people who push through those years are the ones who reach the next level. Tipping point number 2. When your investment returns match your salary. This is the moment that changes your psychology around money forever. When your portfolio generates the same amount of growth in a single year as your entire salary, something clicks in your brain. You start asking a very different question. Not, how do I earn more? But why am I still trading all my time for money? If you earn $83,700 a year, the median household income, and your portfolio averages a 10% return, you hit this tipping point when your portfolio reaches roughly $837,000. At that point, your investments are growing at the same rate as your salary. You still haven't touched a dime. You're still working. But your portfolio just matched your entire year's income and growth alone. Now consider a great year. The S&P 500 returned over 26% in 2023 and over 25% in 2024. If you had a portfolio of $400,000 at the start of 2023, by the end of 2024, your investments alone would have generated more growth than most Americans earn in 2 years of full-time work. You didn't work overtime. You didn't get a raise. Your money just outran your salary. And this is where wealth building gets addictive. Because once your portfolio matches your salary, every extra year you stay invested doesn't just add to your net worth, it multiplies it. The gap between what you earn at work and what your portfolio earns starts to widen. At $500,000, a 10% return hands you $50,000. At $1 million, that same 10% gives you $100,000. At $2 million, it's $200,000 without contributing a single new dollar. Tipping point number 3, financial independence. This is the point where your portfolio can cover all your living expenses indefinitely. You don't have to work anymore. The machine you built, the portfolio you fed for years, is now big enough to sustain your life on its own. The standard benchmark is the 4% rule. You take your annual living expenses, multiply by 25, and that's your financial independence number. If you spend $60,000 a year, you need $1.5 million. If you spend $80,000, your number is $2 million. If you spend $100,000, you're looking at $2.5 million. Sounds like a lot, and for some people it is. But here's the part nobody talks about. Most of the distance between where you are now and that number gets covered by tipping points 1 and 2. Once your returns are outpacing your contributions and matching your salary, the compounding does the rest. The median net worth for Americans between 55 and 64 is about $364,500. The average is over $1.5 million. That gap tells you something important. The people who hit these tipping points early and stayed consistent didn't just get a little ahead, they got exponentially ahead. The average is pulled up by people who let compound growth do its thing over decades. It doesn't matter if you're starting with $1,000 or $100,000. The math doesn't care about your starting point. It cares about your consistency. It cares about time. And it cares about whether you stay in the game through the bad years. Every dollar you invest today is a seed. At first you won't see much. The returns will feel insignificant. You'll look at your portfolio and wonder if it even matters. But you're building the base of that curve. And every dollar is bringing you closer to tipping point number 1, where the compound effect kicks in and your money starts earning more than you can put in. From there, the snowball rolls on its own. So here's what I need you to do. Look at your portfolio today. Figure out your annual contribution. Then divide your portfolio value by that number. If the result is under 10, you're still in the grind phase. Keep going. If it's between 10 and 25, you're approaching the acceleration zone. And if it's over 25, you may be closer to financial independence than you think. The tipping points are real. The math is on your side. The only question is whether you'll stay in the game long enough to reach them.